Ready if you ready.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm born ready,
Bobby
man.
ready. Bobby born ready, man.
All
Right
right.
on.
Says
You
I'll
already
let
know
you
what it
know
is, man.
we are live. Everybody, we are live. Quick little intro music going on. I know you guys probably can't hear it, but I got it going on. Um, all right, everybody. I want to say thank you for everybody that's joining in today to the number one Birmingham roller podcast that brings roller fanciers from all over the globe together. Roll call. I'm your host, Jerry Chacon. Today's co-host is Ray Lewis out of where you're in Washington, Oregon.
I'm in Washington State.
Out
Yeah.
of Washington State. I'm in
Yeah.
Arizona, and today's guest, uh, we have today's guest is a well-known promoter of the hobby, Mr. Bobby Wilson. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Let me just stop. Yeah. All right. So, everybody, today we're going to talk about a little bit of Bobby's history and what he's done for the hobby. He's done a lot of things for the hobby. He's promoted a magazine, Q.S.D.C. If you guys don't know about it, it has a lot of legends on there that he's interviewed. People like Keith London, Sam Gutierrez, James Turner. The list goes on and on. So he had this going on. He put together the BRU competition or event that went down in the LA area. So Bobby, so tell us a little bit of something yourself, man. How'd you get started in this hobby?
Oh, man, as the story goes, man, I was a kid, man, growing up in Watts, Jordan Down Housing Project. And things had became part of my I would say survival, you know what I mean? Because that was my way how I got away from everything with my pigeons. So as a young kid, I started young as a kid, and I would within the projects, the very first time I ever saw, like, I seen a bunch of companies and stuff in the factories and stuff, but it was this guy named Jeff, and he had his birds inside of this little shed, but he never would fly. I would only go and let them come out on the ground, and I would ride my bike and I would see them, and it kind of strike my interest. At the time, I had like lizards and animals, dogs and red ants, and one day I was walking my dog, and I looked there, and I see all these solid white birds just dropping out the air. I'm talking, just dropping, and I sat there and I watched them, man, for maybe 40 minutes, and I realized, I was like, wow, what was those? You know what I'm saying? I loved animals. I loved insects. I love things. I was just a kid. I wore glasses. I was like a nerd, so to say, And I would go back and I would watch those birds, and so I went and told my mom, like, I want some of them. You know what I mean? She's like, boy, I called them angels because I didn't know they were all white. And back then, the angel was white. So I just associated that. I maybe was 9 years old or something to that degree. And I my mom went back and told me, like, no, angels, those are doves. And she's like, you can't have none right now. But my mom, at the time, she worked 2, 3 jobs and eventually got me a cage. I had it set right on the side of a 4x4 pigeon cage. I had it set right on the side of my project door. And from there, I always was look up. I always look up. Once I got pigeons, found out what they were, I always would look up. I started, once you become a pigeon man, you're walking up. And
Yeah.
I realized there was so many people around me that raised pigeons, you know what I'm saying? And I started meeting everybody, and a lot of the people that, as a kid, was people like Sam Smith. I would go to his house. I can remember. I would go to this guy named Thomas Thread Grill. Thomas Thread Grill. I hope I said his name right. TNT Loft. That's what he's known by right now. You had different people in the neighborhood, Pierre, that I would always. So by the time I circled all these people's houses, my day was over. I was tired, I would go home. So that was like my kid version of the pigeons.
Nice, nice. So that's when you got the pigeon bug in you, huh?
Yes.
Where'd you grow up at? What area?
I grew up in Watts.
In Watts?
Watts,
Okay. So you're
Jordan Down Housing Project.
okay. So you're probably like me, the young kid, get on your bike, go to Red Wings, and look at all the pigeons, and you know,
Yes.
yeah,
Red Wings, John's Feed, you know what I mean? It was right around the corner from Red Wings. He had John Feed.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Definitely. Bought a lot of birds from Red Wings.
Nice, nice. So, at around what age did you get involved with actually the Birmingham roller and knowing about the performance and the competitive side of it? You know, that I know we used to admire those deep spinners, and you know, it was all about how many poles they rode, and you know, the suicidals, you know what I mean? And that was, you know, you could see you could see you could see the kids from down the block, and oh man, that's a deep one, man, you know. And you know, you have everybody wanting to hit everybody's cage, you know what I'm saying? But how'd you get hooked onto that part of the Birmingham rollers?
I would say when I first seen a deep pigeon, Thomas Threadgill, he had a bird, and he would throw this bird up, man. This bird would roll 1,000 feet, man. It would never kill itself though. I was just so amazed. Everybody wanted a baby from no tail. So I would say that was my first time where I seen a bird roll to it and hit the ground or through the trees. We thought that was like the best bird ever. That bird no tail was famous around that area with all us backyard guys at that time. I would say I didn't really understand kid competition until I would say probably 1999. I'm moving ahead real fast by then. And I was at Eddie Scott's house one day, and I was sitting back there because I was kind of not. I was like, I would just go to Eddie's house, and had gotten the streets really like mingle too much, and I'm sitting at Eddie Scott's house one day, and they came over there, and they was like, we finna go on the fly, and I'm like, what is a fly? Yeah. And they like, man, this kid company's gonna judge, and I say, what you mean by that? I said, I'm finna go, and I went to I think it was Kevin, what's his name? Oh my God, man, it's
McCray.
There and
Was it McCray?
Yes. And I went to his house. Yes, Kevin McCray.
Yeah.
And I went to a few guys' house that day, but Kevin McCray house, I would never, my first time ever really seeing a team of pigeons work together like that. And from that day, 1998, 99, I went kid competition crazy when I seen 15, 16 birds roll together at the same time. I realized like I was missing out. Like I loved them, but kid competition, I was like, wow, this is amazing to see that. And and the teamship of that. Yeah, 1999.
Nice. Hey, and you know what was probably even more amazing is like you know, in the LA area, SoCal area, you know, like me, I grew up in Bell, and you know, we just, you know, there's a lot of, you know, gang activity going on and separation and all that, and these flies, man, they brought everybody together, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the beauty about this hobby, that you could go to a fly and you see, you know, you know, the black crowd, the Hispanics, Asians, whites, all together in one yard, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
that was one of my things I loved about it, the unity.
Right.
The unity we had as pigeon men. We leave any issues at the gate, you know what I'm saying? If issues left at the gate, you know what I mean? It was all about the breed itself. That was so important to me, coming from that lifestyle, being in that lifestyle.
Yeah. And you know, you in the hobby, you became a pretty good, talented promoter, man. Why don't you talk about how you started putting these little projects together? You got the Q.S.D.C magazine. How'd you start that, man? Talk to us about that.
Okay, I'm gonna go into like 2000. I'm gonna say 2001. By now, I had bought me a home, and because from those times I was raising at either my mom's house or sharing yards with somebody. But 2001, I actually purchased my first home, and I went to Jimmy Austin house. There's a guy named Jimmy Austin. This is Dwayne Holmes actually got his birds from, and we was riding, man, and he's like, man, you want to go see a real kid? And I'm like, man, everybody says that or whatever. So we get in the car, man, and he stayed in we was in Watts, and he stayed actually in like San Diego, somewhere over there. Like, so we riding. He was a heavy marijuana smoker, man. So we had those smoke maybe 10 joints. So by the time we get to his house, man, I'm high as hell, right? So he let his kid up, man, and I'm talking about, man, it was so many big breaks. I couldn't believe it. I said, you know what, man, I'm like high, like I need to come back. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like, you can buy this kit. He's like, you can buy this kit. I'm like, bro, I'm too high, man. I need to come back. So he's like, come back in 3 days. I'm gonna fly him again. So I said, okay. 3 days later, I made sure I was sober as a nun. I went over there, man, and he kicked those birds back out. And they did the same thing. I'm talking about 15, 16. I'm talking about, and I was like, okay, what you want for the key? He said, give me 2,000. I said, 2,000? I said, damn, okay, this 2001. He said, matter of fact, I would sell you the parents to these birds, which was at the time CPRC 100, those birds like that. But I didn't know numbers and stuff, so that didn't really, I only wanted what I saw. So I bought all those different birds that was up out of that particular bird. And I started flying these birds, and I started entering competitions. I would say my very first competition, I DQ'd. Everybody that came, they laughed at me. It was like, your first impression is like, everybody was like, man, he ain't got nothing. Then like 2 or 3 months later, Craig Wiggs used to put on this fly in California for the sheriff fly, like he would do for the kids, the donations or whatever. And I got in that fly. No, that's the fly I DQ'd in. Like 3 months later, I got in the either the national championship fly or the World Cup fly. And nobody came to my house. But I had worked on my birds so much. I had moved birds around, and I started figuring out. I started listening to Keith London. I would go set up to Keith London. I would just listen. Yeah. And he used to tell me about, you want the birds that roll from the front. You want the birds that don't turn when they roll. You want the birds that enter and exit the roll correctly. And I'm like, damn, what the hell he mean by this? So I started really paying attention. And so I moved birds around and took the cocks out, and birds that were like messing the hens up. And I qualified, like when nobody came. Nice. My second competition, I beat everybody. I beat all the names. Because at the time, LA was connected to Palmdale Lancaster. So we had Willie Wright and Steve Smith and all these known guys that I had heard about. And I wound up beating all those guys that year. I think it's 2001, 2002 is when I really started focusing on kit competition. And I started flying pigeons, and I started meeting more competition type of guys. Yeah.
What kind of score you had in that fly, Bobby? you remember what the score was?
300 and some points.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
300 and some points. 300 and some points. At that time, it qualified. I think I took second in that region with that.
Wow.
Yeah. It was good for me because I went from a DQ,
Right.
Whose birds were you working with?
Oh, the 100 birds. The 100 birds. I had some 100 birds. That was the base. I had some birds from Keith London. I had some birds from John Jones. I was like kind of all over the place at the time a little bit. So I didn't really focus on the family until maybe 2004 is when I started like really focusing on building a family of birds and things like that. But I was the pigeon Cupid had shot me in the butt, man, and I was out of the base at that time. I wanted to promote kit competition. So sadly, 2004. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But sadly, 2004, I was still in the streets, and I caught a case, and I fought that case for maybe 2 years. I finally got a bail. I bailed out, fought the case maybe 2 years. At the time, I was still flying, kit competition, things like that. It was around the time when that one guy came around and got everybody in trouble for the Hawk thing. It was around that time. And I remember I met the guy used to want to come to my house, and I missed him every time because I was out on bail. I was real just skeptic of bringing people to my house. Yeah. So I missed that guy. So thank you, God, I missed him. So I wound up going to prison, and I did 22 months. And I came home, and while I was in prison, I was just constantly contemplating on like, damn, I can't get back out here doing the same thing that I was doing. And I would often dream about my birds, that I had named all my birds, and my kids. I was just so worried about my kids and my pigeons, you know what I mean? That's all I dreamed about and thought about was like, man, I got to get up out of here, man. And I can't get back in those streets and stuff because I went to trial. And anybody that ever been in a bad situation, when you go to trial, man, that's like a very difficult thing, you know what I mean? Because everything comes out in trial, and you learn a lot about who really your friends, and you learn that gangs are bullshit, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there and I kept it loyal. I ain't say nobody else's names, and everybody had left me for dead. So I was like, I'm gonna get out of here, do something different with myself. And I was receiving an NBRC pamphlet in there, and I was reading all the different things. I was just so motivated. So I'm sitting there, man, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna create a pigeon magazine when I get out. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put the faces to the names, and I'm gonna go back in my area where I come from, and I'm gonna make those guys. I'm gonna get those guys their flowers when I get up out of here. That's what I'm gonna focus on doing. So I would write down different names. I may have wrote down 1,000 names, and one day I had wrote down Q.S.D.C. and this guy named Hilly, he's around now. He was actually in there with me, and he walked by and he seen my NBRC book, and he's like, man, you got pigeons? And I'm like, man, yeah, I got them on the streets, bro. And we started talking, and we would walk the yard, and we would be up on the walls, drinking our coffee. Everybody would walk up to us, and we'd be talking about pigeons, and people would look at us and be like, man, these dudes are crazy. They'd get away from us, right? So I would go back, and when we go back, I would continue to write. And I showed Hilly, I was like, man, he's like, what is that? I said, man, it's Q.S.D.C. He like, what that mean? I say, quality, speed, depth, competition. I say, it's gonna be a magazine. It's gonna focus on kit competition. He's like, man, that's smart. That's dope or whatever. And he would motivate me to, every day I just would write things down. And I had put together this whole step by step of what to do when I come home, and to start the magazine. So as my time went away, it was time for me to go home. I came home. Unfortunately, my wife had divorced me. She had took everything. I didn't have anything. So I found myself in my mom's, in this little bitty, like cell type room, 8x8, like little room, man. And I was like, damn. And I had my $200 gate money. That's all I had. My ex-wife had taken everything and just basically was being real spiteful with me or whatever. I didn't blame her at the time, but how women can be or whatever. So I'm sitting in that little room with my $200 gate money, and I'm like, man, shit, I gotta do what I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck this. Oh, excuse me. Like, I gotta do what I know. I went to the hood with my $200 gate money, and I had been gone 22 months, so things don't change in 22 months, but I'm not knowing, I'm thinking everything is what it is, and I get over there, man, and I'm standing on waiting on one of my partners to come and hook me up with my $200 get money. I know I spend this way, I'll be able to make me 800. I'm finna everything I had in my mind and the changes and all the things I had went through and going to trial and all that different stuff. I said, man, I gotta get some money. So I'm standing out there, man, and some guys pulled up. So from the opposite gang I found, they had reds on their face. They jump out with Uzis, and they get to shoot, and I get to running, and I hit the gate now, bust my kneecap. I'm talking about split my kneecap open, and I ran around the field. I hear the shots, and the shots stop, and I come around the field, and the car pull up, and the guy, he's running back to the car, and he see me coming through the field, and he put the gun up, and the gun jammed. It wouldn't work or whatever. And the other dude told me, come on, let's go, and they left. So I get in the car, man, and I go home, right? I'm like, whew, boy. So I'm sitting in the room with my knee bust open. I can't go because I'm on gang parole, so I can't like, you know, they was trying to put me back in for, you know, I had beat such a big case to the type of parole I was on. They was trying to send me back for any little thing. So if I go and say, I got to go explain how I bust my knee open and all that, I'm like, man, I can't. I had a really serious parole officer or whatever. So, and I'm sitting on the bed and I opened up my little closet up, and my prison box with my stuff was right there. As soon as I opened it up, it had the Q.S.D.C magazine, what to do when you get your butt up out of here. And I grabbed it, man, and I said, okay. I got me some crutches, and I said, let me go. And I bought a throwaway camera. It was like one of those disposable cameras.
Yeah.
And at the time, Keith London was like the knownest person I knew at that time. So I said, I'm gonna call him, and I'm telling him I want to put him on the first cover of Q.S.D.C. And I called him, set the up with him. I went, took the picture, and inside of my pamphlet, I had created, it said how to start and what to do. I was already a member of the NBRC, so I had got a list of everybody. Inside the NBRC, they had everybody's address or whatever inside of there. So I took that. I went and made a copy of the flyer I made, that cover that magazine you put up. I made a flyer, and I said, allow 4 weeks, $25 to subscribe. I hadn't had any or nothing. I just had the concept. That's it. Mm-hmm. And I mailed that to maybe 3,000 people.
Wow.
I mailed it to maybe 3,000 people. Got me a P.O. box. I got me a P.O. box, and I sat there, and I was broke as hell, man. I sat there, and I was like, I knew I couldn't go back to the streets, man. I just had survived. Like a major shooting that day. Like, and I was trying to go back my old ways, and something blocked it. Just sitting there, broke as hell, man. My mama was on SSI. She was like helping me with her little money, and a whole month had passed by, and it was time to pay the P.O. box. You know, I mailed out all these flyers to these different people. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, this shit ain't working. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to do what I know and go up to the P.O. box. My mom, a real Christian person, real godly woman, and she's like, no, hold on, baby. So we went up there. It was time to pay the P.O. box. She's like, I'm gonna pay it. I'm like, man, don't pay that, mama. Wasn't nothing in the box. And so I'm arguing with my mom at this time. She won't pay. She believed in what I'm saying. And so I go inside. Me and my mama, we inside the P.O. box place. We barely arguing. And the little Asian man say, hey, is y'all Q.S.D.C? Because my mom had put the box in her net. But so they know that the Q.S.D.C mail was supposed to go to my mom. So they was holding all of it. So he came up there with all these big, I'm talking about stacks of mail. And I'm like, y'all Q.S.D.C? I'm like, yeah. He said, man, we've been holding this down for like a week or whatever. Like, my mama older or whatever. She wasn't up on all that or whatever. So man, when I get all this mail, it's checks and money orders. Mm-hmm. I'm talking like $30,000 worth of checks and money orders. Mm-hmm. Wrote out to Q.S.D.C. Now, I didn't have a bank account or nothing at the time. I was on, me and my wife had messed my account up or whatever, so check system, so I couldn't get an account. So I went to my brother and I told him about, man, I want to start a magazine, man, like a pigeon magazine. magazine. Ain't nobody done this. I said, we're going to put the faces to the names, man. We're going to make it's going to be big. My brother like, bro, you always dreaming. Why don't you just go get you a job? You always. So I got away from my brother. Like, he didn't believe in me. So I went to my partner, man, Frank Goodlow, who just recently passed away. And I said, man, I want to start a magazine. You want to start it with me? I say, man, I got this good idea, man. Not knowing he don't know that I already took this picture of Keith London, that I already put this flyer out, that I had all these checks and money orders already or whatever. And so he said, yeah, let's do it. He said, what you need me to do? I said, I need you to open a bank account. I said, we need to go get a fictitious name. We up and running. So we went and got the fictitious name. He paid for that. We went and got the bank account. And so the man sitting there and he's saying that the bank guy said, so how y'all put in here to start to open the account up? And I pushed up all the checks and money orders. He started counting. He's like, man, this is 30-something thousand. And Frank Goodlow looked at me like, man, why you didn't tell me you had all this already? I said, man, I wanted you to believe in it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I want you to do it with me from my gut, from your stomach, because this is what I'm doing it from. Like, it ain't about the money right now, whatever. So we opened it up, man, and we went and finished the first issue, and we released that issue, man. It was like a sledgehammer hitting a nail, because we was not prepared for it. We didn't have a staff. It was just me and him and my mom. And so we had got thousands of people, man. I'm talking about from all across the country, and we wound up with maybe 5,000 subscribers. And the first year was a breeze, you know what I mean, with Q.S.D.C. It was a blessing, because we was able to touch so many people. We was able to do so many different things that first year with Q.S.D.C. and the way it came about. I'm so glad I got to tell that part. Yeah, that's how it went, and that's how I wanted people to understand the sacrifices and things to even get that magazine to go to where it went. That first year was a good year for us.
Bob, can I interrupt you a second? On the magazine itself, the majority of it was color inside, right? I mean, you had pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the magazine. I think some of the younger people, that's maybe a little younger than us, maybe hadn't seen it, but it was a fantastic magazine. Had good articles in it.
Yeah.
Beautiful color pictures. I mean, you get a color picture in any magazine, you're going to look at them, I mean, I think that's what captures your attention before you're ready to read everything else,
Yeah, even the whole design is perfect,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the design was beautiful, and you're a hell of a creative guy.
Yeah.
Talented, really talented, because you got to have some talent to come up with it and to do a lot of the things that you've done in your life. I mean, you're into music. I mean, you did the magazine, tight. I mean.
Not even that, but how to get the promoters, because you even had to put a page, like an advertising page in your magazine, so you had your price on the full page, half page, that's smart right there, man. I give you credit on all that, man. That's very smart of you,
So take us through the rest, Bob.
Okay.
Where you were going.
So the first year, like I say, man, was amazing. You know what I mean? I got to get personal, meet people, you know what I'm saying? See, when I first came out, if you look at that, I heard an insight into the Birmingham Roller, because that's all I really do. You understand? Like, I didn't really know nobody outside of Keith London, Sam Smith. I knew those guys. I didn't know none of these other guys. So if you keep looking at as it keep when the magazine kept evolving, and once I met guys like Tim Decker, Randy Gibson, Jerry Higgins, guys, but once I developed my own personal relationship with these guys, that's when I knew I had to make it about the breed itself. I couldn't just focus on the inner city and the places in which I came from, which hurted me in the beginning because a lot of those older NBRC guys, I've been those type of guys, old Bob Berkeley, man. And those type of guys really gave me a hard time because I was against the NBRC. When my whole life, I loved the NBRC because whenever I got the NBRC, I didn't look at people that was in there. I was seeking the knowledge and everything about the Birmingham Road. I never took that this was a white man or none of that to my heart. That I'm just trying to, like, I'm a good listener. Good listener is a smart learner. So I would just listen. You know what I mean? And it to school that Bob Berkman and guys like that felt like I was against the NBRC, and they actually promoted that. You know what I mean? They actually, like, I was sent in to get an ad in there, they would deny it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, man, okay, I'm actually paying for it. They looked at it as if I was trying to take over the minority aspect of it or whatever, which I totally wasn't. I just had something that, you know, I was just trying to set precedents and what we had going, and we wanted the NBRC. That was like our mother. That was like our big brother. You know what I'm saying? We wanted them to embrace us. But the people at that time, other than Nick Sider, rest his soul, Nick Sider always kept it real. He was one of those people that always called me and always tried to work things out. And but Bob Berkman would get drunk and call me and talk like to me like so bad, and I would just have to accept it because I was like the face of it, the face of everything. You know what I mean? And so as the year progressed, I got into the politics of it. You know what I'm saying? I started leeching out against the NBRC. It was like one of the baddest decisions I ever made. And I think in 2010, the convention was in Los Angeles, and I had all these older guys around me. It was like, yeah, man, you need to get up and say this and say that and do this, whatever. And I stood up there and I said, at the convention in 2010, which is one of my biggest mistakes I regret to this day, because I had so much offered to me from the NBRC, those guys that was in power at that time, and I could have helped the hobby so much at that time, and I got caught up in my fact. I let a couple of individuals personal attacks on me make me leech out on the whole organization and anybody that looked like them or sounded like them or whatever. That was my whole process in which I know I made a bad mistake. And I stood up in front of the convention and I said, well, everybody got a chance to ask questions. And I said, well, how do we get a minority in the Hall of Fame or whatever?
I remember that.
And I had already went and done my homework on the I went and done my homework on the criteria and the things that's needed or whatever, that need to be met or whatever. So I kind of already was ready for them when whatever the response was. And a lot of them had already, you know, would tell me I'm just a gang member from, you know, this and that, and I don't know nothing. Yeah. So they had a bad concept of me or whatever. And one of the guys said, well, it's a minority in there, it's an Italian in there, Mr. Bobby Wilson. And I said, well, how do we get a minority? How do we get a Black or a Mexican? And oh my God, it blew up that day. And I was labeled a troublemaker, and I was labeled this bad person when I just wanted people. I wasn't saying put me in there. I was saying people that I felt and that put me on and taught me things within their areas, the Sam Gutierrez, the Juan Navarro, you know, these guys that I felt that wasn't getting their flowers. That was my whole thing. It had nothing to do with race or none of that degree. But if I know someone had to say this, because the major thing, if you don't say it, then okay, you didn't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes. So I said it, and it created me so many problems, man, because they don't want to admit this, but next thing you know, I had my shop. They tell me, the feed people tell me, well, if you don't buy 8 pallets, we can't sell you no feed no more. I was only buying 4 pallets. I couldn't afford to buy 8 pallets, so they shut the shop down. Mm-hmm. That was one way. As soon as that happened, I knew it wasn't about the verbal things anymore. It was about, now we're going to show you who we really are. You know what I mean? And so people would think that I was totally against the NBRC, not knowing all these little things that I was going through with them at the time. And And a lot of those things I regret to this day because it's a different way I could have approached it. You know what I'm saying? So then I went on this spree where I got all these people to sign this petition to get Willie Wright into the Hall of Fame. And it was like a I'll sue you type thing. It was one of those things. I went like on that. I totally stopped focusing on the pigeons and the birds itself, the breed itself, and I was more into like we're gonna get a black person on this list with all y'all because I felt a lot of them didn't meet the criteria other than the color of their skin. I felt that's how I had became at that time. You know, which was totally not how I felt about the birds. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't feel any races or anything about the birds. It just was the guys that I was in contact with that was contacting me from the NBRC that made me when I raged out on them, it was seen as if this gang member, this guy from Watts, he's attacking, you know, our history, our thing, which I just felt like, you know, people like Willie met all the criteria of everything that they asked for in their bylaws, and he deserved to be in there. And I pushed the issue, and he eventually got in there.
He made it in,
after
right?
That long, exhausted, yes. And after that long, exhausted fight, I kind of lost the love, went away. You know what I mean? I kind of, you know, anytime race and politics and Christian, when you start talking about religion, that's like a thing that like will divide, you know, everybody. You know what I'm saying? And me, I don't have a racist bone in my body. You know, I grew up with Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? I had plenty of white friends, but it's, you know, if you attack me as a man, I'm gonna attack back. You know what I mean? But my attack was profiled. Everybody could see it. You know what I'm saying? These guys, they sat back and they did it. And I regret it to this day. I even apologized to a lot of those guys before Nick Sider passed. I apologized to him at the time to apologize to him. And a lot of those guys, names on the tip of my tongue, I can't say it right now. I spoke with them and we're good. You know what I mean? Even me and Bob Bergman, which was like my menaces at the time, because he would get drunk and he would go crazy on me. We even squashed that. You know, we even, you know, he apologized to me and we moved on from it. And I met a lot of, so I skipped on, but I just want to say these things right here. So in being around Tim Decker and Randy Gibson and John and Robert Parker and all these different CPRC guys at the time was like the core of California, Southern California, the CPRC Roller Club. And I got a relationship with all those guys because I eventually either interviewed them or I was on so many flies. I was always at their house or whatever. So I got to know their birds. I got to know them as individuals. And at this time, CPRC was like basically two clubs. Like you had what they would call the Higginites. That was like Robert Parker, Johnny Smith. Then you had the Tim Decker side, which was like Dwayne Holmes, Randy Gibson, those guys. And then you had me, Q.S.D.C. And so they both was pulling me like, and I'm like, I love all y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, you know, so, and that's how I thought about the BRU. And so I was sitting there one day at Tim Decker's house, Minnie was talking birds and stuff. And like I say, I was a sponge. I'm gonna sit there and just talk. My opinion and what I think means nothing right now. So, and he was just telling me, you know, like his things, his beefs he had with Higgins and why and different things like that. And I was like, man, you know, I come from the streets, you know, like nobody ain't killed nobody in this situation or ain't nobody done nothing to him. I say, man, why don't y'all let the pigeons do the talking? Why don't y'all you get your best five, he gonna get his best five, and let's settle it in the air. And he looked at me. He's like, well, we kind of do that with the World Cup. I say, no, that's just one fly per year. And that's just, I say, I'm talking about like every other weekend. You know what I mean? Like, and, that sounds, so you're like, okay. So then I went to Jerry. Me and Jerry was sitting there. He was talking. He was saying, you know, his reasons. his thing with Timmy and all that. And I'm like, well, Jerry, you know, they want to settle in the air, Jerry. They want to let the birds do the talking. You know, they all loved me how I was, and you know, like, you street, but you're different. And you know what I mean? So they like, let's do it. They say it's gonna be the BRU. I said, I'm gonna get Willie White and them to get a team, and Keith and them gonna get a team, and we're gonna set it up. And it's gonna call it the BRU. They're like, what that mean, Bobby? I said, the Birmingham Rolling Unit. They settle our differences in the air. Everybody else get to watch us settle these beefs. Everybody knew about the CPRC beef at the time. Like, it wasn't a secret or whatever. So, man, we set that BRU up, man. When I say the intensity of these guys wanting to beat each other, man. When I say the preparation of these guys, Abel Ibarra. You go to Abel Ibarra house, man, you can tell he don't set his birds up for this day. He was probably one of the most consistent flyers that I ever seen was Abel Ibarra. His birds would fly like this, man. They would be right there. I'm talking about.
He's a real competitor too. You know, I mean, he's serious about it.
And you would go on these flies, man, and you would go from house, cause like Saturday, say the Dream Team. I think I can't remember who that. They would fly. I think that was Abel, that was Higgins' name. You had all these different names they had made up. I even gave them all nicknames like Timmy the Terrible. And we just have a stat. I brought so much joy back to these older guys.
They even had the wrecking crew or something like that, right?
Yeah, the wrecking crew. I mean, it was just something that was Arnold Jackson there. You know, it was. There's so many different names that they had created up, and these older guys, man. And then I would shoot these videos, and I would put them out, and they were like, man, it was like I gave the game a shot in the arm. You know what I mean? And so I built a relationship with all these guys, man. I'm talking about Tim Decker, Scott Loeffler. I mean, Randy Gibson, Johnny Smith. I mean, every real competitor, Willie Wright. Steve Smith, all these guys was competitors in Southern California. And they got to fly the BRU with such a joy because now I get to get at the person that I have this beef with. Like, 'cause that's all it does. Over some birds, he say, she say shit. It wasn't it was just like that's what it was. What you mad at him for, Higgins? He said this about my birds, Bobby. I'm like, what? He said this about my birds. They was like firm with it, you know what I'm saying? What do you say, Timmy? Man, I don't like how he talked about my birds, Bobby. I fly good pigeons. Yeah, you fly good pigeons. And so it went on, man, for some years, man. It lasted for some years. And a lot of those guys, some of them, they kindled their relationships or whatever, but at the end of the day, that little small pigeon was the bird of peace. You know what I was able to because they would all come out together. Yeah. They would all come together, and at the last house, that person would cook. So in my mind, coming from the streets, being how I was, I don't brought all these people together. That have this simple little. We all love this bird so much, and we don't create this make believe beef. Over this little bird, over this little pigeon.
And you're talking about fun.
Like that was one of my biggest.
You're talking about fun. A lot of good birds. I mean, I know you saw a lot of good kids because the guys that you mentioned, they were big then. You know, and they all flew good birds. Man, that had to be fantastic.
And not only that, but you got people to start. You know, traveling a little bit and going and out of their own backyards, you know?
Yeah, and seeing each other. Right.
Yeah, and we had another fly called the Q.S.D.C. summer fly. The Q.S.D.C. summer fly, we had broke it off in regions. The person at the end took this belt for the whole year with the Q.S.D.C. summer fly, which broke off in regions. So what I mean by regions is like Greater Los Angeles will be considered the West region. Then like Lancaster Palmdale will be considered the North region. Then San Diego would be the South region, and then like San Bernardino would be the East region. And so we had first, second, and third place in each region. And whatever come out of first place would go in what we would call the Final Four, and they would fly for who would be the QSDC Summer Fly Champion. That fly was going on too at the same time as the BRU.
Nice.
So
Wow.
There was a lot of, I had the opportunity to be at a lot of those guys' houses every year,
Nice.
at least maybe 10 to 12 times, counting the NBRC fly, counting the World Cup fly, especially if they qualified or anything like that. So I got to always, that's one of my things that I love so much. I got to see, the more you at somebody's house, the better chances you are to really
Actually,
see
I went over
one day and they shit flat.
Yeah, I went over to John Jones' house this past weekend, and I noticed that he has the QSDC plaque on there that he won, and I was like, oh, check that shit out, you know. And you know what, man, it's a good addition to someone's wall, you know what I mean? Because that's a competitive event, you know what I mean? Yeah, he was happy about that one too, you know.
That was one of those things, man, where it started to where like people want to win that. You know what I'm saying? Because then too, at the end of the year, we would have a awards banquet. And at the awards banquet, we would give out the plaques. I had the Real Man Award, you know. I had brought in like real nice awards, you know, glass figure, things like that. We had different awards, most improved flyer, just different things like that to give people, you know, motivation and to understand like it's a brotherhood, you know what I mean? And so many people took me because I am an aggressive person. I had just left a level 4 prison. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, and I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, but anybody that ever been caught up in the system, you go into a level 4 prison for 22 months, you're gonna develop respect. Number one, you respect the other race. You're gonna respect everybody else that's in your vicinity. They tell you don't use this toilet, you're not gonna use that toilet. You're not gonna question why. Don't get on that, not gonna get on that phone, you're not gonna question why. All your options are taken away from you. I don't care how hard you are. So if I come home from 22 months and release a magazine that's all different races, my mentality is like, I'm gonna respect everybody. But sadly, you have a lot of people that don't understand respect. You know what I'm saying? Right. People that don't deserve respect, but that's demanding respect or whatever. And so I got caught up into that. That hurt me a lot because I'm using a prison mentality in the free world where people got their opinions and they're gonna attack you over the keyboard of a computer and run when they see you. So it's like I couldn't adjust to that. You know what I mean? I had a hard time and it hurt me a lot. I mean, of course, now, years later, I understand it. If I can do it, if I do QSDC all over, I'll be highly successful with it. But because I know how to, I my mistakes.
So, Bobby, how did
mistakes?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but so how did the magazine end? How did it, you know, because I know it stopped at some point. How did it end?
Like I say, it became, because the printing and the printing of the actual color magazine and then the mailing cost was nowhere around it. Mm-hmm. So you got to figure, if I pick up 5,000 colorful magazines, I'm probably being charged $3.40 per issue. Mm-hmm. So times that $3.40 times 5,000, you're at $15,000, $16,000. That's just to print it up.
Right.
Then the mailing cost, let's say to send it out, was another $1.64 to $2.48, depending on where the person stayed at. Mm-hmm. Times that times 5,000, another 12. Yeah, you got another 12,000 somewhere in there. So each issue became so expensive to put out as it grew, because I'm making $25 subscriptions per year. After I get those subscriptions, if we didn't manage the money correctly, then by the middle of the year, we don't ran out of money just on printing and mailing.
Coming out of pocket now.
So it became really, it became really stressful. And I would like to say I had guys like Arnold Jackson. He helped us a lot. Paul Gomez. He helped us a lot with that magazine to keep it going. They were so behind it, and as far as the banquets and all the different things we were doing. And at the time, I was fighting so many little wars within the hobby. You know what I mean? That people had attained power. Like Efren Lopez, he had a mean site called Roller World, which got from Q.S.D.C.
Right.
And I went to him and I was like, hey, let's come together, bro. That's all we need is one. You come together, you got all those people, I got all these people, let's come together. But Ephraim was more like, no, I don't wanna, I'm gonna do my thing. And I had to respect him. But I was like, if we stick together, we can make this one big pie. You know what I'm saying? But everybody we want to do their own thing or whatever. So he became an opposition of QSDC. That hurted QSDC a great deal because he had assumed power. He had got a nice power following behind him. He was selling a lot of pigeons. He had purchased a lot of those main birds. And so he had a following like, oh, you don't get along with Ephraim. No, we're not going to support QSDC. Then within that, I had the BCRC, what they call Black Country Roller Club. Yeah. I had did an interview, the very first issue on Norwood, and they wanted me to try to get Norwood into the NBRC Hall of Fame. But Norwood didn't meet none of the criteria to be a Hall of Fame member, so it was nothing I can do. You know what I mean? It was nothing that I can, if you don't meet the criteria, I have no fun or no say or nothing. You know what I mean? So those guys got mad at me. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, it was enough of them. And so once you got all these little fires over here, it became like, man, I don't want to do this shit no more. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not making no money out of this. And it became stressful.
Yeah. It wasn't fun.
Top it off. Then to top it off, I go in the hospital and find out I'm diabetic. And it kept me in the hospital, man, shooting this insulin in me, and it almost killed me. You know what I mean? And my health, the stress of it, you know what I mean? The fact that I was putting my own money into it, which I kind of didn't really care because I was doing so much. I was setting precedents for right now and how I operate. But when I got diabetes, man, and high blood pressure and the stress and all just my personal life, my kids, I got 8 kids. So, all those things in itself, I had to say the magazine, I don't want the magazine.
How many issues did you end up publishing?
25.
25? That's pretty good.
And you know what I saw? You got one with James Turner. How'd you did you go out and travel to him or?
Man, yes, a lot of those guys out of state, man, I would travel to. Man, let me tell you about James Turner, man. That's my dog right there, man. So I get to James Turner's house, and I got a room up the street. Like, man, you ain't gonna stay in no room. I say, well, I'm gonna stay here for a few days, Mr. Turner. Like, I didn't come way out here to come for a day or nothing. You start say 4 days, like, you're gonna sleep right in there. I'm like, okay. So I'm like,
right.
So I'm like, so we would eat every day at the table, me and his wife, and
nice.
Then we'd go out, man, into his yard, man, and I would just see all these colorful birds, man. I'm talking about, man, I would never forget, bro. He had 2 cream and white badges, man. They was like, geez, they stood, man. I was like, wow, man, how do you get those birds to look like that or whatever? He had the orangest eye you ever want to see, man. I'm talking about, I said, you gonna fly him? He's like, yeah. I said, don't fly him, let me buy him. Like, $3,000 on me. Like, no, you can't buy those. I'm like, I say, man, what you want for? I say, don't fly them, man. I want to, let me buy at least one of them so I can breed out of it. At the time, I was still, getting birds and stuff. So,
hey, excuse me for the
man,
interruption.
You kick those birds out, man.
Ray, you're glitching.
Yeah, I see it.
All right. Go on, Bobby. Sorry about that.
Man, he kicked it, and inside of this loft, man, he had all these, all all white bird with a black head, opals. He had all these different colored birds. So I'm not really looking for him to really do too much. Like I was told pretty birds don't roll. You know what I mean? So, man, he kicked those birds out, bro. And when the birds got up there, man, and them cream badgers came out at the same time, 40 feet. I'm talking about zoom. Yeah. Went back to the kid. I mean, them all white with the red, the black head, 60 feet. It wasn't a lot of teammanship, but when I say individual fast rolling pigeons, man, I was highly. And then so he started walking me through his process. He started walking me through his process of how you get these colors and different things like that. And he had this one pinson hen he had, like he's like, this the mama. And then he went and got like 5 more that looked at exactly like the one. Each year he would create one of them, that same bird. I mean, the exact same bird, like he took and cloned it or something. I was like, damn. And he started talking about genetics. I'm like, none of the guys ever been around ain't never started telling me nothing about genetics. You know what I'm saying?
That's another level there, huh?
Started listening, like, I was like, and he was like, and so after about the 3rd day there, he like, I'm finna show you something. And he took me to his back, bro. And he had all these different birds where he was breeding. They were non-rollers. And it made me look at him a little different at first, because I'm a roller guy. I don't like too many other birds. And he had all these different other birds, and I was like, damn, this is why they don't like him. And he was like, man, I got a gold bird. He said he got it from Africa. It was a gold pigeon. He's like, I'm gonna make that bird roll in 7 years with that color. And I was like, you're gonna spend 7 years? He said, all these projects be 7, 8 years in order for me to get them to where I want to get them. Wow. And so I developed a great deal of respect for him, for a person who puts 8 years into something like that or whatever. So by the time I left his house, it was like them 4 days was like Birmingham Roller College I went to in those 4 days, because I went back, understood my birds much better.
Yeah.
Told me what to
nice.
look for.
Well, look at the.
Yes, he told me.
Look at the 20 bird national champion one with his birds. The last 2022.
I didn't know. Oh, yeah.
So Bobby, where are you now with your own pigeons? I mean, you still got them, right? You still have.
Yes. I'm 20-something years invested into them. I've been flying amongst myself and just selecting stuff. I had a kit that I was going to enter this year that I had been his 2nd year flying, but one of my close friends got married, bought a home, moved out the hood, and I was like, I'm gonna give you these birds that I want to keep for myself. And I gave him them 30-something kit birds, man, that I had been developing. So it kind of seemed like, but I know what I got, you know what I mean? And I'm back motivated now. My 11-year-old grandson, he's flying up in Lancaster. He got the pigeon bug, and he's listening. Well, the hawk is eating his kid up right now as he studies sneaking them out right now. But I'm highly motivated with him. I got one of my long-time friends, Rayford. He's into them, and when I just got a kid in, so I'm 20-something years invested into my family of pigeons. I'm ready to. I feel like I have cultivated great pigeons. I want to fly against the guys in Texas that got great pigeons. You know what I mean? I want to be. That's what I'm about. Kid competition. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel that or a lot of the stuff that you learned by going around and interviewing these great legends out there for your magazine, are you bringing a lot of that knowledge into your cultivating right now, and as far as your way to manipulate a competition team?
Yes, most definitely. I'm one of those type of persons. When I get a chance to come to your house, Chacon, heard a lot about you, I'm going to steal certain things from Chacon. You know what I'm saying? Anybody I come around, I'm going to listen and I'm going to take. You know, any BS, I'm going to push that to the side. I'm half of 100 now, so I'm a little more, advanced. But, you know, when I was in my 30s and stuff, that was a different process. But I'm a grandfather, you know what I'm saying? Like I let a lot of things go, you know what I mean? So when I get an opportunity to get somebody's, I don't care who the person is, I'm listening.
Right.
And I know that, okay, they're gonna say something that I can, that's gonna help me, you know.
Right.
And so right now I take like from Keith London, breed, fly, and select. That's what he would always say. And I take that. And then, you know, James Turner, he tells me about the genetic traits of what you're looking for. You know, if you still fly it, but you can kind of make a bet with yourself that what the bird's going to do based on the genetic trait, based on the eye, based on the body type, based on all those different things that this bird is carrying. You still want to fly it, Bobby, but the competitiveness of Tim Decker and Jerry Higgins, how competitive they was. You know what I'm saying? Juan Navarro taught me what a bird should look like in a cage, what a true Bourbon Air rotor should look like in a cage. I mean, so Rayvon Hall, Bruce Hall, I mean, all these different guys have had an effect on me that it never would go away because I always remained a student whenever I was around these guys. My opinion, you know, like, so a lot of these new guys, they all opinionated, you know what I'm saying? The internet has given them a space to where they're going to push their opinion. And the worst thing to me is a person that think they know, you know what I mean? So a lot of these older guys, if you sit back and just listen, you know what I mean? You're going to learn a lot really fast, and you're going to advance yourself really fast just by listening.
Yeah,
those guys
knowledge is power, you know?
Yeah, especially the ones that don't been through it. You know what I mean? Those guys, you know, they'll tell me, well, why I never won this and why I never. Well, if you ever went to Juan's house and
you know,
and seen his birds, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say that, but you don't heard, oh, he got his show birds. All he got pretty birds. And no, he was the technician at creating a bird that once you set it in there, I don't care if the masses can be out there, you'll be like, what bird gonna beat that bird today at this show?
Yeah.
What bird? I mean, just from the cleanliness, from the eye, from the body, you feel what I'm saying? From the keel, from all these things that different people may look for to say whatever they want to say, whatever they created with amongst their knowledge, he would put a bird in there to where if Tim Decker was right there, he'd point that bird out. If Warren Jackson was right there, he'd point that bird out. You know what I mean? So for me, he was great at what he knew and what he knew how to do. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it be that a person just not a good trainer. Like if you're not a good trainer, then it's gonna reflect on your kid. If you're a bad coach, your team ain't gonna win no games. It's the same exact concept. So a lot of these guys, especially a lot of these guys, new guys that's just getting, like they say to me, oh, you just had a magazine. But I fly pigeons. I don't qualify in all these different regions I lived in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when I hear that, it bounces off me now because, and then I see the best kids in the world when I'm in my yard by myself.
Right.
I'm hard on myself.
Right.
You know? I ain't gonna call it 5. I don't call 5s.
Right.
So,
well, you know, this is what. Go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm listening.
You know, I say this all the time. You know, you can't go to a guy's house one time and figure out what he's got in his backyard. You gotta go more than once because the kid could just be off that day. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, man, California's got some really talented guys when it comes. I mean, for a lot of reasons, but rollers. I mean, I envy you guys because you got so many guys. You know, I mean, you talk about Keith London here and there, and all the other guys that you mentioned. I didn't personally know them, but I had been in every one of their backyards, and like you said, you pick something up from every one of them.
Yeah.
You know, and as I often hear Keith say, you know, you put all that together, but you got to prove it out. You know, and proving it out is in the air. You know,
and not only that, but you get to go and and experience other people's management. You know, right, how they manage the birds, the different type of lofts. They're not in a little box. You know what I mean? They have a setup and they have a routine within the setup that makes the whole program a lot easier. So it gives you an idea, like, man, you know, maybe I gotta apply this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course, and you take everything that's good. Everybody, you got to take the good things from people, man. You like, even with me, like, people, they don't like how I am certain ways. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was raised. If you and right now I have my Watch Chronicle podcast out. You know what I mean? So people get to. I'm straightforward with the things I can talk about. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you listen, you get to kind of know me as a person once you get through listening to it, and you can take good
you know
things
what?
from it.
And we've already
just get stuck on the bad things.
Yeah, we've already seen the type of person you are. Like, for instance, I saw a long time ago when you came out on the news and you're talking about you had kids right there, and you're helping them out with the pigeons. You know what I mean? Like, who does that, bro? Like, seriously, you know, how'd you come across that? I mean, did you get a hold of the newscast, or what was that about?
Oh no, see, I was like I go out of the juvenile halls and institution as an inspirational speaker. Like, once I came home, like I say, I was finding my way. You know what I'm saying? I'm inside the institutions. I was always like a reputable, like a shot caller or whatever. And I grew up with the Hispanics, so I kind of had a relationship with the Hispanics. So I was able to diffuse things real simple during my time of incarceration. So once I came home, I used that in the same manner with the kids, because I felt like any certain little kid, if he was a fake gangbanger or a wannabe, I know. If he's hardcore, that's one thing. Like, I can separate the two. And with the magazine and with the pigeons, I was able to get to the kids, because once I found one or two that liked the pigeons, I was like, oh shit, he liked pigeons. So now I get him some pigeons. I'm gonna stay on the phone with him. You home from school now? I'm gonna become his daddy in a certain sense. I'm gonna become his uncle. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care what race they were or none of that. If they loved pigeons, I loved them. So what happened with that scenario is, man, they were still getting killed, bro. And when they die, I felt like I don't bury one of my childs. You know what I mean? And it was affecting my home. So I had to leave that alone. Like, I had my wife like, look, check this out, bro. You know, you can only do so much. You know, you can't save the world. And after a few years of that became like very stressful, trying to maintain with these different kids and keeping them out of, you know, jail and trouble and losing their life. I had a few of them that lost their life. On that interview on the CBS News is a Hispanic guy. I met him through jail. He would draw all those drawings, or whatever.
Oh, okay. All the drawings you put on your
He from Linwood.
Okay, yeah.
But I think of his name from Linwood. You know, we started writing each other, whatever. I sent him a few dollars and sent him a magazine for free, and I was like, he was like, get sons into birds or whatever. So I doubt that's how his kids wind up on that particular CBS interview. But yeah, man, my drive is a little bit different, especially back then, than what the normal person may have when it came to the Birmingham Roller Pigeons. My sacrifice, you know, and I'm human. You know, we make mistakes as human. People just tend to not get me. You know what I'm saying? People just pretend to, because I'm out there, I don't hide nothing. I ain't got nothing to hide. This is how it is. You know what I mean? And I've got shit to hide. A lot of people ducking behind stuff, so they ain't gonna like you. You know what I'm saying? But real people gonna love me, and it's like with me, it's not an in between. You can't love me, or you either gonna love me or you're not gonna like me. It ain't no in between with me. I don't want people like that in my life. I don't been through too much. So when you carry yourself like that, you're gonna find out quick who like you, who don't like you. You know what I mean? And so the pigeons become just a centerpiece in that. You know what I'm saying? And And then so now with my return right now, I said, okay, I'm gonna stay away from the politics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay away from anything other than the breed of the bird itself. You know what I mean? Like I'm 50 years old now.
Right.
If it's not about the breed itself, I don't have nothing to do with it. I don't care about who said this or who voting for this particular president or who in that.
I'll tell you this: we need you to keep on doing some more of what you've done in the past, bro. Straight up, you know. I mean, even the BRU fly that you put together, you even put a like a documentary on it. You incorporated your music into it. Yeah. And hey, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've watched those videos over and over and over and over, man. So a lot of those views come from me right there, right? You know what I mean? And you know what? And I'm gonna tell you this right now too, man. You know, that inspired me to do what I'm doing too. You know what I mean? I really enjoy what you've done. And it got me thinking like, man, I want to do the same. You know what I mean? So maybe, you know, we could, you know, like you were talking earlier, you wanted to work together with the one with the Roller World, but you got me. Hey, man, I'm here right now. Let's do something together. We got Ray we're willing to put part. You know, let's start something, man. You know, I got the videography going on, and I'm there to help you and whatever. You know what I mean? So we need you to keep on going with this. You know.
What's up, man? Yeah, right now what I want to do was get you know, you really can't do too much talking without a kit up. You know what I mean? So I want to get a kit up. You know, once I got a kit up, I was gonna get with a few of these guys like Kevin Moreau, different guys up here that fly great pigeons, and say, "Hey man, let's Texas against everybody." And then that way, I know you're very competitive with that. Hey, don't leave AZ out. You know what I'm saying? And I know I can get the guys down there and say, "Hey, we want some too." And then my whole concept that's in my mind with this whole pot, it's like a reality show. I get to be me. Yeah. You get to be Chacon. Yeah. Kevin Moreau get to be Kevin Moreau, and we just film it. You feel what I'm saying? We show the people lives. You know what I'm saying? Also, you know. Yeah,
that's what I've been thinking about. That. At the
end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that the birds at the end of the day brings us all together.
That's right.
Being a black guy from the streets, you know.
That's right.
Kevin Moreau being a white male from his, you know, and this was my thinking. I've been thinking, but I said I'd get a kit up first. Yeah. Since I've been here in Texas, and I had one, I gave it to my friend. I'm working on one now, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, Steve Russell, he's here like 15 minutes away from me. He's just having a bad BOP problem right now, but he's in the process of getting some birds up. And once we get birds up, at first I wanted to do it without me participating, but I feel like, you know, because I'm good at what I would, like you say, those videos I used to do when we would reenact stuff and all that.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that now. Yeah. So I wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's good. What do you call that? Coordination or
choreography.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you right now.
I'm
gonna tell you right now, real quick. You mentioned Watts Chronicle. For those of you that haven't tuned into Watts Chronicle, that's a podcast right there that he put together. I think he has about 8 chapters on there right now. But it's something that you could tune into like at work or at the gym, and he does some really good storytelling, man. Like literally, like he puts you in there. But what really pops it out is the sound design. He has sound design into that too. Right. You know what I mean? And he even does his own like boop bop boop bop boop bop.
Yeah, well, not just that. All the music on your on there is your music, isn't it, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, that man, I when you send me the link, bro, I was like, oh, let's see what this is about, you know. So I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. And he starts off with the pigeons, you know, and you know, you got Alonzo right there schooling you, you know what I'm saying? It's really good, man. But sorry for interrupting you on that, but I just wanted to put it out there. But go ahead.
Yeah, man, that's love. I'm gonna just speak on Watts Chronicles for a second. So the listener understanding of it. Watch Chronicles actually start when I'm 10 years old with my pigeons in the projects. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things that I'm talking about, Watch Chronicles, I don't talk about it now because a lot of those people are dead. They can't go dig them up out the ground. So when you hear me talk about Lonzo, he's gone. Yeah. So it's like they can't dig him up and say, hey, you killed Janky. You know what I mean? So these things I held for 40 years. So just imagine a 10-year-old kid holding something. He sees somebody get shot in the head and he has to walk around with that and know I can't tell anyone. Like I can't even tell my mama. You feel what I'm saying? In the fears of her being a mama, like what something can happen to her. You know what I mean? So that was the harsh. I could run to my pigeon cage, and with my pigeons, I could like forget all about all these different things. So that's how in the Watch Chronicle, all my trials and tribulations I went through like in my life, and the pigeons was always in my life. Or for a pigeon person to be able to get like the pigeons are always in my life. I actually got a whole like 7 more chapters I can't release because I'm in a situation of completing a deal or whatever. So I had to stop everything. And people were calling me crazy and saying, man, when you gonna release 9 and 10? And season 3, right now, my hands are cuffed. I'm trying to get a bag. You know what I'm saying? I get a bag. I'm gonna come back and you know how I am, you know what I mean? That's my biggest thing I got going right now.
Yeah, do you do all the production and like post-production, all that yourself? Like as far as
I do all the post-production in season 1, which is entitled No Teenage Years. Season 1, Steve Russell did all the mixing and mastering and adding the sounds, you know.
Okay,
Steve Russell.
yeah, the sound design, yeah.
Yeah, then season 2, which is product of the system, my longtime friend Kenny McLeod, he does that. So each season I change his mastering guys, and I do the pre-production and I send it to them, and they finish it up for me.
Oh, good, yeah.
Well, Jerry's totally right. I mean, he's right. The whole thing is captivating. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen it, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It is really captivating.
Yeah.
And it speaks to your talent, man. Yeah. You're a very talented guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I'm not just saying it, you know, to be friendly. I mean, I'm telling you, you know, what I see.
No, truth is there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, all the things that you've done, and you're in the hobby too. You know, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, we need more of this promotion, you know, in the hobby and bring people in, you know, and you know what, this what you're talking about. I've been thinking about it as well, doing like a reality show type of thing. And you know, it's kind of like we could kind of like do like the Survivor, you know, when they throw someone at different parts of islands, you know what I mean, and they cut into each other's reality of what they're doing in their backyard, man. That would be awesome, man. You know, I mean, we got to push that, you know.
But I tell you what, one of the reasons I kind of wanted to be involved is I'm in Washington State, and a lot of the guys that flew pigeons here, I mean, this was a hotbed for a long time. I mean, a hotbed. Hell, the World Cup started here, you know, and most of those guys are dead. And to get new kids involved, it is difficult, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally difficult, you know. But these other things you bring in, you know, a podcast, you know, another man who's talented and doing a whole bunch of other things that these kids are really interested in, might bring them into pigeons, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm going to tell you something. My joy for the pigeons, I mean, I love competition, but if competition went away tomorrow, I would still have pigeons, man.
Yeah. I
mean, I would still have them. I mean, they're not, you know, my ex-wife wanted me to get rid of the pigeons. Well, she's my ex-wife.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And if you really look at it, like, for instance, like my situation, you know, I got introduced to pigeons when I was 13. You know what I mean? I didn't know nothing about competition and all that. And off and on, you know, I joined the gang and you know, got into drugs and all that stuff, you know, and became a really young parent. And but in life I was missing something, you know what I mean? And you know, and I remember what, you know, like what is it that made me happy, you know what I mean? And I remember the pigeons. And back then I didn't know about no competition, you know what I mean? So I just recently got into it a few years back, you know what I mean? But the love is there, you know what I mean? If we could introduce that love to kids, and right now, how's the way to do it? Well, social media, man. You know what I mean? Social media is the new. You know what I mean? If we're not tapped into that,
Yeah.
then you know, kids don't like to open books no more. And you know what I mean? It's podcasts like this that's our tools. You know what I mean? Our social media, everything that we could do together, man. You know, that's our tools to get that back. You know?
Yeah, I agree totally that the social media has been a awesome tool, and it also has its negative side to it.
It
too.
does.
Oh yeah.
It does.
And so what we have to do as sort of say leaders, one, we got to come together, man. Like it's like and if I say it, people automatically feel like I'm trying to take over. You know what I'm saying? But and then I only can revert back to what I know. You know what I mean? So I know when I was inside of an institution, a level 4 institution, blacks are at their strongest because blacks stick together. You know what I'm saying? Hispanics are at their strongest, Mexicans, because they stick together. You know what I mean? And so on with the whites, the Asians. So if we say this as a human race now, because we're not in an institution, we all love Birmingham roller pigeons, basically the same. You know what I'm saying? Any person that gets up in the morning and goes out there, man, if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's 1,000 degrees, and make sure his birds are okay.
Yeah,
we're
man.
all crazy together. You know what I mean? Anybody that constantly looks up in the air, my wife be like, man, I be like, damn, look at that big ass hawk. Oh, look at that Cooper right there. She's like, why you always looking up? Like, I say, man, I just, you know, I can't explain to you, baby. Like, it's just in me. If we all like that, we all need to come together. You know,
like me, I come home from work, going to the front door. Hey, babe, how's your day? Good. Okay, boom, straight to the back. You know? Yeah.
Right on.
Man, you know, so that's my thing, man. When I come back, I want to bring everybody much as I can back together. You know, anybody that feels a certain type of way, hey, man, I have no problem with nobody, man. I'm happy, man. I've moved and I got me a great home. I got my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm back in the pigeons, man. If you got a beef with me, I don't have a beef with you. If I done something in the past or said something, please forgive me. I had to forgive a lot of people, man. Listen, I'm gonna say this so you know how sincere I am. The guy that shot me, if I seen him right now to this day, I would walk up to him and I would hug him and I would tell him, I'm not mad at you. I'm just glad you don't shoot people in the head, brother. And that's what I used to have revenge and man, this guy shot me 3 times. If I ever see him, but right now to this day, how happy I am and you know, the position I'm in, I will hug that guy and tell him I'm glad you done a head shooter, man. And I don't moved on from it. So if I'm able to do that, man, a lot of us need to move on, especially us that love these pigeons, because we can change a whole lot in this country, in this world. There's a lot going on right now. We can change it through the love of the Birmingham Roller, because that's the only thing we really got, man.
Yeah, like you said earlier.
Like I don't understand on it.
Yeah, like you said earlier, you know, we are humans and we make mistakes, you know, and you know I've caught myself going on the social media sites and somebody trying to be a heckler on me and I'll go back to the way I was in the streets. I'm like, wait, who do you think you're talking to? You know what I mean? But now I'm starting to realize that it's okay to just walk away from anything. You know what I mean? Like, whoever has a disagreement with me, it's all right. You know, it's your beliefs versus mine. It's all good. I'm not right. You're not right. We're all in this together. You know what I'm saying? So that's my mentality going on this hobby from now on. You know what I mean? Because like you said earlier too, social media could be catch you on the wrong side too. You know what I mean? But you gotta
no doubt about it.
You gotta be a man.
I mean, back then, I was so. I was so crazy back then when social media was really starting to kick back 2007, 2008. I had a pigeon that got half his head knocked off by the falcon, and I took a picture of it, and that became my photo on there, and I called myself the internet banger. And I would get on there, man, because I was like into it with so many people, man.
Yeah.
It was like, and I would wake up in the morning, bro, and I would look forward to all the different beefs I'm finna create and have.
Yeah.
And I would go on Roller World. You know how Roller who all online at the time. And I said, okay, who I see? Oh yeah, what's up with him? And I'm gonna pick it with him. You know what I mean? Just because of my state that I was in at that particular time, I said, I'm finna pick it with him. So everybody know when the internet banger popped up on there, you see people popping off, getting off because they knew I'm finna to attack you. Yeah. So now my mindset is much more complicated and much more at ease with itself. See, a lot of people don't be happy with themselves. And so if you're happy with yourself, if you're not happy with yourself, you can't be happy with nobody else. And I had to learn that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I had to learn that and understand that. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm so happy with myself. I mean, it's so hard to get me mad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I want to bring that. I'm watching. I've been on the sideline watching. I'm gonna say this real quick. I've been on the sideline watching, man, and you've been doing an awesome job, man. Don't think I'll be looking. I might not say you've been doing it for the last few years. You've been doing an awesome job. I've been watching your videos. I've been watching all the different things you do, man. I want to just give you your flowers now.
Thank you, bro.
Just like you're telling me to keep it up. And something's going to come where we can unite that together, man, and all our ideas, and we move forward as a unit, what we're trying to do, because together, if we become together, bro, we're going to accomplish a whole lot. And even what Keith is doing, with all these, even with the World Cup, the NBRC, we all need to find a way. I had created a nonprofit. I called it Bro.
I was about to talk to you about that. Yeah,
it was it's called the Birmingham. Okay, and because when I was trying to put it out there, I was trying to put people in position, and I guess the logo was offending to some people or whatever. How it was holding hands or whatever it may be, and a lot of people. To me, I didn't get the response. Like people weren't feeling like that's my bro, or it's bro meant Birmingham Roller Organization. But we know when you call us, me being a black male from the streets, we use the N-word in our certain way that we use it. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, you even have Hispanics using the N-word now freely. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, let's stop that and let's say bro. You feel what I'm saying? And what bro meant was the Birmingham Roller Organization.
Right.
And we keep this amongst, we create this unity amongst us, which will slowly branch off because we come from these areas that we know our influence. Like if I go to my area, everybody's looking for me. Oh, they're gonna kill. He back. Oh, we finna get some money. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing gonna pop in their minds. So if that's what I don't create it and what I'm known for, it's hard for me to go back to that community where these people all look at me as like, oh man, he got something going. He back.
Yeah.
So now my mentality is like, I was once part of the solution. So that transition is so hard, man. That's why I have to tell the Watch Chronicles, Watch Chronicles, because my plans are when I go back, I want to come back with open arms still, but you know.
No, when I saw that, when I saw your post on the bro, I was like, you know what, why don't we try to bring more to the NBRC, as an organization, you know what I mean? But but I've been thinking about it, and you know what, I think that there's nothing wrong to put something else out there, you know what I mean? And I guess a lot of people, when we see things like that, it's kind of sketchy at first, but we don't know nothing about it, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's a real good idea, what you putting that up and maybe getting more people to participate in it, man. I think that'll be great.
Well, we talk,
I want to say this. The let me just say this 1 second. The NBRC is like my mother. Okay, that's like that's my big home. Say that, so everybody can relate to what I'm saying. That's like my mother. That's like my big OG homeboy. That's like somebody that I got a highly amount of respect for. And at certain times, people that was in charge of it, I didn't get along with them. That was that time. You know, every era has an era of different change races. But me personally, Bobby Wilson, NBRC that's my mother club. That's all I had. I got bands from, I was banning my birds, NBRC. I love the NBRC. Was I one of those people that was seeking change within the NBRC at that time? Yes, sir. I mean, everything is built on change. You know what I'm saying? Some people are not going to like my change that I'm saying, but somebody got to say it. You know what I mean? So if you come from these cultures where you're going to say, okay, y'all didn't say nothing, Wilson. Wilson ain't nobody saying nothing. That's going to be their way of just brushing it to the side. You feel what I'm saying? So in my mindset, it's not even about, it's about 20 years from now. It's about the people that's going to come and replace these people, whether if their leadership was shady or whatever, we changed it for the better. And a lot of people took me wrong. I just want to say, I love the NBRC. Like that's when I got that magazine, it motivated me as a kid, you know, to do better, to take care of my opinions. If they sick, I didn't look at none of those pictures and none of those people and they say, oh, this is a white man. I can't. No, it was like this. They telling me about the Birmingham Roller. They teach me about the Birmingham Roller. That's all I cared about. But people made it seem as if, so anytime I would say something like the bro, people will take it like, oh, he's trying to go against the NBRC. Oh, no, QSDC never was against the NBRC. I got more people to fly and to sign up in the during my time with QSDC probably than anybody. Because that was one of my requirements. I would tell people, you're an NBRC member? Oh, no, man. Be a member of that, because without that, don't nothing exist. This what I'm doing might be temporary. And anybody that know me will tell you that personally. I always promoted them, other than the conflicts I had with certain individuals at that time. And like I say, I forgive them. They forgave me. I wouldn't get on your podcast and lie. I ain't never been no fake dude or nothing. I always loved the NBRC. Right. That's my mama. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's the mother to what we do. That's the one, that's the starting point for me. And I would never betray it or turn my back on it. So let's get that out of here so people hear it from my mouth. What you heard, somebody may have told you, you heard it from me. I love the NBRC. That's the mother. We all need to support it. We all need to keep it going. And it's never been nothing other than a misunderstanding. That's all it's been.
What are some of the things that you think that we could put together with bro? Like what kind of what programs within pro you think we could start up with bro?
I think the biggest thing with the bro will be to enhance the things that's already in place, such as the NBRC. We have different levels within the bro. You got gold members, you got platinum members, or whatever. And so now within the bro, with the gold members, platinum members, you got to be a platinum member, you must be an NBRC member. To be different levels, you must fly in the World Cup. To receive certain levels within the bro organization. You have to participate in all these other major events that we got going. You must support all of these other major events that we already have in place. That would be the starting point of the bro. So that way the NBRC knows we support them 1,000%. The World Cup understands we support them 1,000%. We're only going to bring more members, more support by doing that. That way it takes nothing from anybody. It only enhances the whole process within itself. And we get more organized now. I'm not saying they're not organized. I'm saying it's regional directors and different things like that. We need to get it more to where it's more, the growth of it is more there. More younger people were getting involved. We have to attack the younger people. We have to find ways to where we get the teenage. One thing that I met, and I'm going to say this real quick, it's not off subject, but it's kind of backing up. when I would argue with Bob Bergman and different guys like that, and at the time with my mindset where I was and how I was in defense of QSDC or whatever, I would tell Bob Bergman, you're mad at me because you ain't found people like yourself that look like you to replace you. That would be me and his argument really bad amongst each other. When my time, in my process, I don't care what color you was, as long as Bergman had roller, then I love you. Color didn't matter. And so that was me and his argument was back then. You understand? So I know that we need youth, because like a lot of these guys don't got old, bro. And that's why the game is the way it is. When I go on a fly now in Cali, I don't see Jerry. I don't see Timmy. I don't see Parker. I don't see none of these guys that paved the way for you guys. You feel what I'm saying? And then you guys don't pay homage to these guys that it's possible for you to even put a bird up in the air around this particular area. So those things we got to address, and we only can address them as a unit.
As a unit.
We must
That's right.
pay homage to the people that were before us. If you don't pay homage to the people that were before you, then guess what? It has no meaning.
Right.
It has no substance. The bro, that's what the bro would do. The bro would get more organized. And like I say, the main purpose of it is to strengthen the things that's been in place on it for years, bro. It ain't to tear it down. And a lot of these guys don't understand brotherhood. A lot of these guys don't have respect for the next man because they ain't really been through nothing. You feel what I'm saying? Not to take nothing from anybody, but if you've been through something, man, you're gonna automatically walk up and respect the man, give that man his respect, give him his just due, appreciate him for what he's done for. Like a lot of them guys say, Bobby Wilson ain't done nothing. You know what I'm saying? I hear it, and I be like, well, let me see you get 7 years of your life doing the things I did and didn't say that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would
I think we could
only the bro is only to enhance what's already in place, bro.
Yeah. I think we could put it out, and I think we could put it out and put out even certain flies together. So the reality show we could do, and it could be very powerful, man. We got the videographers now, the editors. We got an in-house graphic designer. You know what I mean? We got all your connects. I mean, we don't need to outsource anything to anybody to put it. We could put it together ourselves. We got the equipment, we got everything, man. You know what I mean? So, this is kind of something that been wanting to push, to put it out on a different level. You know what I mean? Like getting more of an entertainment. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing, man. I think we should look into putting it together, man.
Yeah. It's like I said, I already set it up as a nonprofit. It's already in place in California. I might got to catch it up to date, whatever it may be, but I kind of just let it go. Once I was trying to do with Hugo Rodriguez. I was trying to. He the one got what's it, apparel? He got that nice logo. He got his like apparel. His name Hugo Rodriguez. He look like the NBA. Yeah, him.
He's in Maywood, California.
I was speaking. Yes, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. What's his name is? Give a big shout out to him, man. What's the name of his?
Man.
Something apparel. He has that nice logo. It's like a bird, like the birds rolling or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the main persons that I was trying to put the brew together, the bro together with him. And but like I say, man, I get caught up in my personal life, and I got kids in college, and it's like, man, I can't do it all.
And I feel you. I feel you, man. The passion is there. Like like with me, what I'm trying to push the pigeon broadcast, and within the pigeon broadcast, I got my documentaries. I got the podcast. I want to put some merchandise out there. I mean, it's just and I would like to bring somebody on, maybe run the podcast. It don't matter to me. I just want to keep on doing and building so that everybody could start getting involved. You know what I'm saying? It's not really for me, because like you just said, there's a lot of work to this, man. A lot, and I can't do it by myself, man. Hey, listen, I'm editing on my days off. This is Sunday, man. You know what I mean? And I'm just constantly thinking and thinking and thinking. What's the next step? What's the next idea? So I feel you on all the work that you've been putting into this, man. You can't do it alone. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, and that's why I stress the bro, because once I realized that, like, hey, if we put people in position, and again, you had a lot of people jumping on there thinking I was trying to come at these people. And I'm saying, that's why I came on your platform, not one to support you, but to get it out there that, like, all I want to do is enhance what's already in place. And maybe my approach and my way, I said it sometimes, maybe, because, I'm not going to, I'm a man first and foremost. So you're not going to just talk to me in your own type of way and treat me, especially when I'm giving you your respect. So at the end of the day, you have people that don't relate to that. So they're going to take you a certain way. So maybe I did come off the wrong way with certain people. I am a little aggressive. You understand what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, highly respectful. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to enhance the World Cup. And by me saying that, a certain person will say, "What you mean by enhancing it, Bobby Wilson?" And I'm like, make it better. What you mean by making it better? Being more organized. What you mean by being more organized? It's like, okay, can somebody help step up here and kind of help me what I'm trying to say? Because I have a 12th grade education, you know what I'm saying? So I might not be getting it off correctly, but I'm highly with good concepts and ideas. That's what I bring to the table. So no, I want to enhance everything that's already in place, make it greater, make it better, make it about the Birmingham Roller Pigeon itself. That's it. I don't want to, all the other stuff, what you heard from Bobby Wilson 12 years ago, the crazy guy or whatever you want to call him. No, I mean, we all make adjustments with ourselves, I hope. Right. I'm getting these grades now, my knees bad. My jump shot gone, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to have fun, man. I want to see people being productive, you know what I'm saying? I ain't tatted on me dead, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm a blessing, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to push, man.
So there you go. I mean, both of you guys, you both kind of put it out there. I mean, we got to meet new people where they are, the new kids where they are now, not where they were when, because I'm older than you, Bobby. Not where they were when I was the kid or where you were when you were a kid. We got to meet them where they are now. We're going to keep the hobby going. Yeah. And I mean, you talk about enhancing what we already have. A lot of people not used to change. Change always brings. It's harder for older people, unfortunately. Right. But without change, you can't get any better. Yeah. So we got to move into the future. Yeah. And I appreciate it. It's good to see you, Bobby. Good to see you again. It's been quite
but and it's also things like with you, Ray. You know what I mean? You jumped in the spot. You went and got yourself some headphones, a mic. Man, you're in it. You know what I mean? Like, you're participating. You know what I mean? Because, this, like we just said, man, we need everybody to be involved, you know what I mean? And not only the being involved, but we need to figure a way how to get funded because listen, man, I got my Patreon going and it ain't much money, bro, like that I get out of it. But when I went to San Diego to visit John Jones, that's the money I used to drive down there, put gas money, gave me a room. And John, I'm telling you, man, John, he was like a little kid, man, right there talking about pigeons, man. He had somebody next to him. And I'm going to share that with the world. I'm not going to keep all that to myself, you know what I mean? So I'm doing the work, you know what I mean? But we got to help each other on financing these programs and events that we're trying to put together, you know what I mean? And that's, we need the Birmingham Roller Organization.
Well, I want to say, I mean, we all change as we get a little older. Yeah. I think we get smarter. We not everybody, but the majority of us do. You know, and you can't please everybody. That's unfortunate, but that's just the way life is, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like Bobby said, you know, I appreciate what you're doing, man. That's why I asked you, look, if you need some help, and I'd say the same thing to Bobby, if I can do anything to help anybody, I'd be happy to do it.
Right.
You know, if it's
cool.
helping the hobby, I'll be happy to do it. So
Now,
you
Bobby,
know.
Bobby, tell us, you got your birds, right? You getting started. What's your program like right now? Like, what are you planning out to be competitive right now?
Right now, I have this bird I named him Guap. Guap has any bird that ever get good in my house is in Guap. So now I made some 3/4 maidens. I made different maidens through Guap. So everything kind of got Guap in them, which really has everything, which I started with the 100 pigeons from Higgins, the 508 bird from Norm. And then I got this one pigeon from Will Stenhouse, which is a white heat pigeon. For like the last 8 years, I've been crossing that bird in there. You know, me, the type of person I've become now, even though I have my base of my birds, if I came to your house and I seen a bird that's just like, I mean,
I'm
like,
the same way,
just devastating. I'm gonna be like, hey, check this out, Chacon.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say let me have it. What you want for it? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that means I'm finna take this bird, I'm finna use this bird, and I'm finna steal all those traits, rolling the way it roll. See, all that means a lot to me now. Like at my when did it roll? You know what I'm saying? I don't want no bird just rolling and rolling and rolling. When did it roll? It rolled when it was supposed to roll. How did it enter the roll? How did it exit the roll? What part of the kit did it get back in? That's a hard pigeon to look for. And then sometimes, especially, it might be a lucky day. He okay, but he got off this day.
Yeah.
Then I would take that bird and breed that bird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some people are like, oh, no, because one thing I told what James Turner told me, what has been working for me for 20-something odd years, is that a bird is going to show you what it is, Bobby. I still hear James Turner's voice telling me this. He said, Bobby, he said, I'm gonna get a little street with you right now, Bobby. You know, like, would you want to be with one guy that's gonna stand there with you and fight, or 10 guys that possibly gonna run off and leave you when you get your ass whooped? And I was like, man, that's like common sense, Mr. Turner. I want the one guy gonna get whooped with me. He said, well, that's how you look at your birds. The bird's gonna show you what it is. You ain't gonna breed out of them guys that ran off and left you.
Yeah.
So I always took note. He would always talk to me in that sense to make me really gasp, because I knew shit about genetics, and like I wasn't at that time. I wasn't really paying attention. I'm listening, but I'm like, damn. When you talking about the traits, what trait are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he brought out that one little hand that had. I mean, bro, like he took and replicated this bird. I don't know nobody. I haven't met nobody that's as deep in as James Turner, man. I just have to say that. And he need his flowers. He should have been got his flowers. He should be. He should be definitely a Hall of Famer, and just not.
We need to get him here on the podcast. That's what we need to do.
Yes, man. I'm gonna work on that too, man. I spoke to him about a year or something ago, man, and that'd be awesome, man. And from this point on, I'm going to help you with the podcast. I'm going to do all I can do. We're going to work towards the bro and all those different things. And you reach out, I'll reach out.
For sure.
And we're going to get more people behind what we're doing. And I think this thing can be an awesome thing, man, for, not just for the hobby, but for the world. Because the world is hurting right now. So we have to approach it with our love that we got and put more love out there. And when people see a person like me putting out love, I think it'll help. You know what I mean? Because I'm not known for love. I'm a line pusher. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I want people to see the change in me. You know what I'm saying? I want people to see like my love for the Birmingham Roller itself.
How many pairs you working with right now?
Well, right now I got like 12 pair that's like I'm actually breeding out of, and then I got 8 foster pair which I'm fostering out of. I do a lot of fostering because I like to get more birds out of certain pairs as I can, so I really can kind of learn that pair, each year. So
are you
I got 8 fosters.
is there anything other than performance that makes your selections like feather quality, apple body, all the myths out there?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mostly only breed out of what I see. So bird, I noticed as the closer I got with my birds, I can have a pair, and one bird will come out looking like 100 bird, and one will come out looking like a 508 bird. But they out of the same pair, and so that was highly confusing for me. You know what I mean? That was like, and because I was biased, I'm only looking for a certain thing. It kind of hurt me for a few years, just looking for certain traits. Okay. Because the bird that got the 100 bird might be extremely a work bird. Like it's frequent. It's gonna work hard, and so I won't breed out of it because it has that 100 look. It's not what I'm looking for in my bird. So that kind of hurted me because I lost a little frequency. I lost that little activity. So I've learned over the years, like, look is not everything. You know what I'm saying? Type ain't everything. All that's not everything what's in the blood of the bird, because especially when you don't breed, to me, you highlight the good, you highlight the bad. You know what I mean? So you have to get a balance of that. Would
you keep a click pair together, or would you always split them up? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm always looking. Each year I'm looking for everybody to be a click pair. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I hear people say all the time, "It's my main cock," but that son's out of his main cock. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't got no hands out of his main cock. Like, so to me, like, how do you call that your? How do you consider that your main cock if you ain't breeding sons and daughters up out of him that's reproducing themselves just like he was, that's reproducing him? So I got 12 hens out of one cock. You know what I mean? Because all these hens out of this one particular, he was mated to different hens, but I got 12 that I picked out the air solely on, not because they was out of him solely, and then I do half brother sister matings from there with that particular bird. And I keep some of them close. Or whatever, and then I put those, like, when I brought the white heat birds in, they didn't work as well with those 100 birds. I had jammed them and got them to where they were, but they worked excellent with the 508 birds. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was they brought that look, they brought that highlight, they brought that frequency, they kept that style, they kept that speed. So, it's a learning process, you know what I'm saying? But like I say, what I'm saying this time, after I breed a bunch of birds and I got me 4 or 5 kits, I'm gonna go around on the flies, and if I see something that can enhance what I'm doing, that was a big mistake I made years in the past. You gotta understand, a person like yourself, I feel like a person like yourself is cultivating the best Birmingham rollers you possibly can at your home. Right. So I got be able to pick a bird out, and this is gonna put me ahead of where I'm trying to be. Yeah. If I can, not everybody, I'm not every house I go to, but I'm just saying a person that's audition. Like I consider you a person. You're not just a person with a podcast. I mean, I seen your birds, I seen your scores. Paul told me, he's like, I may should have said 17, Bobby, but I said 14. You know what I'm saying? Because the pressure is there. I know who you are. I know. I think he should have too. Especially, but he spoke highly. Bruce a person. Yeah. Bruce Tall is a person. He's gonna tell the truth. Yeah. So when he said, Bobby said, Chacon put up a nice kid of birds. Bobby I said, yeah. He said, man, in one break, he said, and I should have said 17. He said, but. Yeah. It is what it is. What do you feel? We all know that 3 points is.
Yeah. Right now that you're getting started up again over there in this new location where you're flying now in Texas. What how many rounds you plan on pushing out, and how many offsprings you think that's gonna get you going?
I'll play maybe 150 birds, 150
Okay.
kit birds. I got to get my numbers up. And like I say, I want to basically be out of this 12 pair. So I'm going some rounds. I'm fostering. I didn't breed them that hard last year, so
Yeah.
I'm breeding hard this year. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna focus on, and I'm trying to build teams where I got, like, when you say, "Oh, that black is nice," I would say which one. I'll be in a position where it's 7 or 8 of them,
Yeah.
because they're the same. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Do-
that's my goal. Where I'm working at now.
Do you see yourself like, okay, let's just say you put together, your two good competitive kits, do you have a plan already, that you're gonna go ahead and practice, as far as your feeding and your flying program, getting them ready for that day, for the competition day, man? Have you been thinking about that, or what strategy you're gonna go by?
Yeah, that's like just once I get going all the way. Once the Cooper right now, the Cooper is still. I have individuals out on my thing. The Cooper is coming and grabbing birds through the individual like that. So, but once that Cooper like go away or whatever, it happens like maybe. I start real young with my babies. You know what I mean? I set them out where I feed them myself and all that. I get really up and close with my young babies, to where they're like they really respond to me, and I feel like that's when I'm at my best. When the younger I pull them, the quicker I train them, they be squeaking and kicking. Like people that know me, they be
so you
they be like grown birds, and they come down.
You're looking for that early development, huh?
Yes, I chases that can hold it though.
Yeah,
they
can hold.
About them Higgins birds.
Yeah.
Like people, you have different things about the Higgins birds until you bred them for 10 or 15 years and kept them close to each other. You're gonna learn that you get extremely good ones. You're gonna get extremely bad ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you ain't flying them, you know what I'm saying? That's where people get that's where they get their bad name. But if you're flying them, you ain't gonna really see too many birds that can mess with those birds.
Yeah.
Bro, like for real. Now, if you had one, that's the one people are gonna talk about. You know what I'm saying? The bad one.
Yeah.
I mean? When you get those great ones, those great ones, and I say this, I'm a Higgins lover too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna say this with honesty. The closer you breed those Higgins birds, man, you're gonna highlight the fancy shit that's gonna. Well, you need umbrellas when you hold them in and you let them out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man, they're gonna.
Yeah,
they're gonna bump. You know what I mean? But,
well, when they start doing that, and for those of you, the audience right now that are watching this right now, if you guys have any questions right now for Bobby or even Ray, just go ahead and post it on there. They're either seeing it or I'll relate it to them. But when it comes down to the feeding, there's a lot of different tactics to it, man. We talk about, a lot of people follow like Monty Nebel's yo-yo system, and towards breaking the birds down. Are you gonna use something like that to get your birds to peak out, or what are your plans on that? Have you got it figured out yet? Have you got it figured out yet?
Yeah. With young birds, because I'm always, even like I say, this previous year, I was flying with myself. I got it at the same time. I take my kids to school. I know what time I'm gonna fly, what time I'm gonna feed them. So that was like a system I developed. Whenever I got something going on, my birds are gonna be incorporated within that time span. So I was able to spend a year really flying my birds consistently and feeding them a certain type of way. To me, I don't really believe in going straight wheat or Milo or none of those particular. I'm gonna slam some birds out if I do that. You know what I mean? If with 100 birds, man, I would. You're gonna roll down a lot of birds. You're gonna think you have roll downs with those particular birds if you try to make them, stress them out too much. So what I do is young birds, I fly them into the competition. I don't try to rest them for 2 days or none of those things. I practice amongst myself and say, okay, if I fly them, if I get a chance to fly them these many days in a row and I rest them for this one day and I feed them this much, this is the chance I got on that particular Friday. So I'm always sparring with myself. I'm always critiquing. I'll be flying 2 kits against each other that's the same age or whatever on the same process, or I might have this one on a little different, more program compared. They're the same pigeons, but these 2 are on different programs. So yes, that's a constant with me is me sparring amongst myself and me always trying to better myself with just myself. When I step out there and I go to these guys' house, which is going to be this year, I'm gonna know what I'm up against. So yeah, I'm always prepared. Yeah. Preparation is part of being successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
So Bobby, do you guys have you have local flyers around you anywhere close? I mean,
yeah, I mean they're not close. Like I said, you got Kevin Moreau. He's one of the guys I met. Reached out to me when I got here. I spoke to him a few different times.
Good dude.
It's a few guys up here. They kind of spread apart. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, once the fly start, I'm gonna become an NBRC member. I'm gonna get in contact with the World Cup RD, and I just wouldn't. I don't want to be just a spectator. I don't want to be just a person talking. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to be like my house next. You know what I'm saying? I want to show what I got.
Right.
I kind of fell off. You know what I mean? Life kind of got a hold of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm deep with diabetes and high blood pressure now. I got that under control. I got my big old house, man. I got my grandkids. I got my wife. I got my dog. I got my birds in the. I'm happy, man. So
living life.
I'm ready to also, man. Bring this goodness. Like I say, when I first released Q.S.D.C, I was fresh out of level 4 president. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my mentality was like, I had muscles and, I wasn't a bully, but, it was like, I didn't really, I got a jail mentality. So now, and being home since 2007, I've been home. You know what I mean? So I've still endured a lot, but I've learned who I was as a man and as a person, and my love for the Birmingham Rollers have never went away. My drive, and you lose your drive, man. So right now I'm motivated. Like I said, I got a grandson. He's motivating, and I want to come back now with my mentality that I have now. And another thing, for those that's gonna check the Watch Chronicles out, Google Watch Chronicles, start from chapter 1. You're gonna see like that was a relief for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't relief a lot of things that I was unable to talk about. I'm able to talk about them because sadly these people are deceased. You know what I mean? But some things in growing up in the streets you got to take to your grave. Like I would never be if Lonzo was still alive, I could never tell my Lonzo story that I had to endure for 40 years.
Yeah.
And so to take that off of me as a kid is a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand, you're a father, you got fathers, you have these things in you in your home, it starts to reflect what's inside your home. Your kids are going to pick up on the anger and the different things that you're holding inside as a grown man. And then, when I joined the gang, I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? So as a grown man sitting in prison, I'm suffering over a childhood decision. You know what I mean? I'm 12, 13 when I got in the gang. So in my mind now as an adult, I'm like, damn, man, I'm still running around here as an adult over a decision I made when I was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
So you start feeling foolish. And then the irony of it all is that it was for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, everybody tattooed on me dead. So now they make me understand how blessed I am and how important it is for me to be part of the solution around there in different things to that degree, because the higher powers have kept me for a reason. Yeah. So I start with the pigeons. And I think the pigeons is a way to where we can connect, where we can find find those different youths that's troubled
Yeah.
and help guide them to where they don't got to experience level 4 prison. Because that's not like a place like some people need to go. And then I have this thing where I say cracked eggs. You know what I'm saying? Cracked egg, you don't try to put it back in the cart and you throw it in the trash. So you have cracked eggs. You know what I'm saying? It's cracked eggs, I don't want to have nothing to do with them. If you somebody and you seeking change and you trying to let things go, I'm with you 100%, no matter what race you are, no matter what you're going through in life, what you've been through in life. I want to come. That's what the whole purpose of the bro was. To come. If a person needed help, we set up. I know how to raise money. You feel what I'm saying? I know how to do these things now to where we set these things up now and put it in place. The person now with a problem legally.
We definitely got to do it. We got to do it, man. Yeah, we definitely got to do it. And you know, you're in a new area now, so like you said, going around and checking out your competitors out there, it'll bring you up to game of some of, you know, whether, you know, you're gonna adapt your ideas with their ideas, whether you're gonna fly cocks and hens, whatever, you're gonna visualize what's the best, you know, scenario out there and apply it to what you got going on. And I mean, I think you're gonna do really good, man. You got a lot of passion, and you've done a lot for this hobby, man. You know, I want to say thank you, bro.
Appreciate it, man. And to the flying thing, I would say this: I ain't seen a falcon. You know what I'm saying?
You're lucky, man.
Yeah, nice.
I ain't seen a falcon.
Nice.
I ain't. So I feel like, you know, these goshawks are a little more vicious, man. But you know, let the goshawk get the ones he gonna get. You know what I'm saying? But it's nothing like having a falcon, bro. Like anybody that knows. That falcon gonna get more than his share.
Oh,
he
man,
will shut you down. So
yo,
I ain't seen a falcon, bro.
He's on me right here, man, and it's just it's tough. It's tough, man.
Me too.
Yeah. Any word of advice that you got for the youngsters coming up in this hobby, man?
I mean, like I said earlier, man, pay homage to those that before you. Right. A good listener is a smart learner, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy to be a certain way when everybody's looking. What's important is what you do when nobody's looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They need that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's gonna make it better. And stand on what you say. You know what I'm saying? So that would be the advice. And when it comes to the burner hand roller itself, get out on flies. You know what I'm saying? Learn the rules to the flies. Understand why this is being called. Don't get to calling a person a cheater when you don't really understand the rules, and everybody not going to see the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like some people need glasses. You know what I'm saying? Some people need binoculars. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, respect everybody's opinion, and always get those guys that don't put it like me. These guys that, you know, it's a lot of guys that I'm missing out that's in other states. I just seen an interview with him from Montana. I spoke with him on the phone several times. Awesome man.
Rick.
Rick
Shaney. Rick Shaney.
Yeah.
Shaney? Rick Shaney, but the one.
No, Shaney.
Rick Shaney.
You're talking about.
He said, say his name correctly.
Rich.
And then the other one was right there.
Richard Hayes.
Rich Hayes, man.
Yeah.
He had all those black and white birds, man. I got him I got an interview from him, but I didn't physically go to his house, which I was sadly that I missed out. But he had those black and white birds, man. Yeah. He's another guy that
he's a World Cup champion, you know.
What he's done. Yeah. He put it down. He motivated the person like me. I used to sit in jail and read these MBRCs on all these MBRC magazines about all these different guys, man, that once I created Q.S.D.C, I got a chance to either speak with them or actually interview them. And that was a great thing for me. And so if you're an up and coming guy, man, just respect those guys and pay homage to those guys that was before you, because a lot of work was put in before you came. So you just came in an environment that was already at ease when you came. So and you're not better than no one. And listen, all you gotta do is pay attention. You got so many guys that's out there like Chacon that sacrifice. Right now, he's doing this, man. He's on his off day and he's doing this because he want to better the hobby. So respect that. And when we do that, it's gonna get better, bro.
Nice. Well, I want to say thank you for being here and you know, sharing your history and your goals. I appreciate you a lot, man. And you got my support on whatever you're doing out there. And Ray, thank you for being on here too. Before I leave, I want to say, you know, support what we're all doing. You know, like and subscribe to our channels, and you know, let's keep this going. And one last thing I want to say, you know, we lost a bird brother out of Ohio, Richard Miller. He's a master flyer. I want to just say rest in peace to Richard Miller.
Peace, Miller.
Rest in peace, right?
Peace.
Right.
And so we're gonna go ahead and end this podcast. Everybody that joined us today, thank you, and stay tuned for the next one. You know, so we're doing this for everybody, and support everything that we got going on. And if you got any good ideas and want to be part of it, let's do it, man. Reach out at me, reach out at Bobby, get a hold of Ray, and we'll put it together, man. We could work as a team. You know, it's better to work as a team than one individual. You know what I mean? We need all the help we can. All right, thank you, everybody.
What's up, man?
Thank you.
Have a blessed day. Have a blessed day, man.
You too. Later.
All right, bro. All right, thanks.